All right, so I got the screen recording going. Today is September 10th in IGME 386, and we're going to spend an introduction to CityEngine. Now, as I usually do, I'll show you these graphics. How does it fit into the big picture of the class? So last week, as a reminder, we did an introduction to geospatial data in general with ArcGIS Pro, and we did that exercise in class, you may recall, where we brought in some polygons, we used LiDAR data, and then we created what are called 3D scene objects in ArcGIS Pro to start to get a sense of 3D geospatial data. So today, we are going to focus at this part of it. In fact, I probably should update this. I'm going to do that much. I'm not going to be able to get to, I wanted to do universal scene descriptor and omniverse, but I'm going to save that for another day because I think what we'll do with CityEngine will be enough. So as a quick reminder, what is CityEngine? Anybody remember? Like, what's a quick explanation of what CityEngine is? Yeah, what's CityEngine?
CityEngine is like a software that allows you to map buildings, roads, things like that in municipalities.
Yeah, that's a good yeah, for creating buildings and roads. Anybody else want to expand on that based on what you maybe if you've raise your hand if you actually have worked with CityEngine before. Anybody actually ever opened that software up and work with it? Anybody ever take 484? I didn't know if they cover that in 4. No one's taken that. Okay, so if you've never even seen it, it is a really robust procedural modeling 3D environment, really focused on like the creation of cities, whether they're real or fake or whatever, and so forth. Okay, so as we are looking for ways with 3D data to get towards a twin, this is also then in this tech diagram. I just want to update my little square here. Actually, my little square should be right about there. I'll just do it that way too. So we're right about here. That is the logo for CityEngine. So again, like I said last week, we were sort of above this. We were looking at ArcGIS Pro and a little bit of ArcGIS Online. Now we're looking at another way to create 3D data that's quite exciting with CityEngine. Okay, so it's a completely different software package, and it's its own. It's another one of these, like it's its own universe of software. So just like other heavy duty tools like ArcGIS Pro, some of you talked about learning Maya in one of your classes, or those of you that are game students have learned Unity. CityEngine is at that level. It's like a really big software that you could build your career on if you really learn how to use it. So, but we're going to do a nice gentle introduction to it. And so before I start, are there any questions about what we're CityEngine? No? All right, so I should mention for today, if you go to our class webpage, there'll be some things I'm going to refer to over here. So the slides I'm using, some of the things I'll talk about here are links to kind of references. And I even got really fancy. I had ChatGPT help me to do one of these kind of deals. I'm so excited about my button. So when you click this button here, copy code, it'll take that code and put it on the clipboard. How cool is that, huh? You guys have probably seen that kind of thing before, but again, as a side comment, I keep talking about the generative AI. When I was developing this lecture, I got a lot of help with some ways to create this lesson, and something like that, like writing HTML and JavaScript code to give me a button that puts things on the clipboard. That was another thing, but I think it'd be handy. So, but the button doesn't work for this, but we'll get to this. If you want to look ahead, here's your homework assignment, is to go through some CityEngine tutorials. So I will go over this, but of course, if you want to just start looking at it now, you're welcome to. I would encourage you to follow me. The slides for today should be here. And here they are, okay? So just wanted to point out, I put a lot of stuff into the class webpage just so you know that it's there, and I will refer back to it. Okay, so with that, so introduction to CityEngine, procedural approach to modeling. What is procedural modeling? Anybody done procedural modeling before? Could you, if you don't mind, talk? Yeah, what is procedural modeling, or what have you guys done with it? Or tell me about it.
So it's basically like building. It's kind of like coding.
Yeah.
Almost, where you kind of in different steps you add parts and modify like your model. So it's not like a build this for this.
Yeah.
Here, this phase,
Right. A rule-based syntax?
Yeah, rule-based approach.
Yeah.
You make rules like, okay, if this space is like flatter than this amount of degrees, then you extrude it.
Right.
Because it's all of the things that are like that. Manually touching.
Yep, that's a great answer. Yeah. Anybody else want to add to that, or any of you done this kind of thing before? Some of you in your comments for today had written how you've done it. You were going to raise your hand, guy in the green shirt. I don't know your name, yet, sir.
Yeah, I've done some procedural generation stuff with like low coding.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty much just like using the creating rules and approximating rules, using like applications to adjust stuff.
Okay. What have you guys actually procedurally, I know there's a verb for it, procedurally generated? Like what have you made? Like what's come out of your code? A crystal? All right. Yeah.
I made landscapes.
Oh.
Yeah.
What software did you guys use?
Unity.
In Unity. Okay. Unity. I didn't know that Unity does procedural generation.
Yeah, you can like modify mesh vertices and things inside of it.
Okay. Cool. All right. Thank you. Yeah. So if on the recording, because I was away from the microphone, procedural generation is when you basically write code that has sort of a rules-based syntax for generating the things. So again, as we heard last week, what we did was the manual way, right? We took a polygon, we were dragging vertices, and that's a good start just if you're new to 3D stuff. But I think there was this diagram they had in here. Yeah. See, this was a good diagram. So what you're seeing here is a way to think about it, right? So if you're basically writing little code, and in fact, that's what's over here on the webpage here, right? Is a really, really, and that's how I wanted to do it for today, a really gentle introduction to this. Like I want the way like a building, and we'll get to this, would be created. You're telling it you want the building to be 10 units high, and you want to extrude it, pull it up by that height value, right? And so imagine if you had hundreds or thousands of buildings that you wanted to look like that. You're not going to sit there and manually do that, right? So this is like the procedure will generate it. And that's what, it talks about here, handcrafted. So yes, you could spend thousands of hours going in there and you may actually do that once it's generated, but procedural modeling can kind of do that for you, all right? And so as an FYI, I was just looking at this link here, okay? All right, so we'll get to that. So with that, and thank you for contributing to the discussion, let's fire up CityEngine. And so the way we're going to do that is on my machine, I'm just going to type in the word city. Now, I have a slightly different version of this software that's going to be on the house computers. Yours is 2023, mine's 2024. I don't think for what we're doing, this should make a difference. Okay, so let's put any little tech fires that come out. Now, are you getting hit with a login prompt? Yeah, so this is going to work the same way that you saw it work with ArcGIS Online or with ArcGIS Pro. Okay. Let me sign out. In fact, let me start over with just because of that. Okay, did you guys get something like this? Did this come up first? Okay, so whenever you see this, remember it's RIT ArcGIS. Okay, that's what you want it to say. That's what you put in there. So mine's already in there from before. Sign me in automatically can be helpful. And if you start seeing RIT stuff, then you're good. If you see the RIT stuff, then it's just going to be just like if you were logging into anything RIT.
I can show me the link to RTGS.
Oh yeah, sorry, yep.
Thank you.
No problem. Yep. So there's that part. Okay. And then once you get to this part, again, so you just fill in that part. Then just like you were checking your email, okay, you should log in, maybe do sign in automatically, log in. And as a side comment, that was about 3 hours of emails for me to be able to do that on my own machine, but figured it out. So, all right, and you should get something like this. This is from yesterday. Does everybody have that? Just want to make sure we all made it through. Okay, if you came in a little late, we just opened up CityEngine, and then we typed in to log in. That's what you put in. Did anybody not get there? Just so I don't want to leave. It's pretty important you get through the gate, sort of get things started. Okay. Now, for your lab this week, I am having you do some tutorials. I'll mention it now and I'll mention again. The lab, we don't have the software available for use on personal machines. So this is going to be a lab where you're going to have to come into campus and find the software to do the thing. And if you do, you may have to do this process again. Okay. So I just want to give you a heads up on that. All right. It's a real basic thing, but it's just you have to understand how all this Esri software works. So I have it on the screen recording and I'll go over it again. All right. Okay. So with that, why don't we move along? Now, a cool thing about the software, they give you a lot of examples and so forth to look at. And this may come up in your assignment for this week. What we're going to first do is just pull a city in and just go over some just basic use of the software. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the top menus where it says Help. And then download tutorials and examples, which is right there. So I clicked Help, Download Tutorials and Examples. And we're going to do CityEngine examples. So make note, by the way, CityEngine tutorials. This is going to come up for your homework, but CityEngine examples is the kind of the second one. And we're going to do example complete streets. Mine says example complete streets. Mine says, does yours, the very first one, say example complete streets 2022.1? Okay, cool. Then we got the same thing. All right. I'm going to hit download. Now, yesterday for me, it took a while. Oh, it's actually going a lot quicker today. So do you see in the bottom left, there's a green progress bar with the download? And as I always say, this is the have a sip of coffee moment as I wait for this all to happen. All right, and that's it. Okay, all you should see if everything worked according to plan on the left here in what's called the navigator. It's kind of like the same idea like the table of contents. You should see that. Okay, did that work for you guys? Did you see the green thing go in the download? Okay, just keep me posted. I don't want to leave anybody behind. Okay. Okay, so what the heck do we have here? So let's expand this folder out, and you'll see a whole bunch of things kind of within here, right? And first off would be the assets. These are, for those of you familiar with Unity, you're probably quite familiar with the idea of assets, right? What's an asset in Unity? Yeah, what's an asset in Unity?
Basically something that you can apply the code to.
Yeah, you can apply the code to. The little bit I've done with Unity, I think of it as like just objects and things you might want to throw into the scene. So you have the same idea here in CityEngine, and we'll come back to that in just a moment. Now take a look over here under data. Does anybody remember what a file with an extension of GDB? We saw that last week. Anybody remember what that is? Yeah, it's a file geodatabase. So it's the exact same kind of data format that the ArcGIS Pro uses. And they give you more of the guts of it kind of thing here. Under maps, these are typically used as kind of like a base map. You have imagery, models, rules. Now we're going to come back to this. This is where the procedural generation idea comes in. But we'll come back. But basically everything with the CityEngine project kind of gets organized here like this. And what we're going to do is go to under where it says scenes. And then this one here, example complete streets.cej. Okay. So again, what I did was, I'll just kind of back up. So if we started with this, okay, I expanded that out. Then I go to scenes. And then I'm going to go to example complete streets. I'm going to double click on it. Now look at this message coming up, and I just want to point it out. The scene example streets contains 797 generated models. Would you like to regenerate the models? So we had a little discussion earlier about procedural generation. So what do you think? What do you think that means? Would you like? Oh, okay, too late. Would you like to regenerate the models? What do you think the software was asking me about that? Yeah.
If they'd like to sort of create them.
Yeah, I'd like to regenerate them. And what do you think? Like more specifically, what do you think was happening? Like when it asked me that? Yeah.
Was it reading from some type of configuration file?
Yeah, it was reading from. We're going to learn about them in just a second. About from CGA, computer generated architecture. It read the scripts that then generate the models and the thing. Okay, but we'll get to that in a second. More about that. Okay, so does everybody have? Oh, here it is. Yeah, I'll go crazy here and regenerate them all. Okay. Oh, see up here. Watch that. See this icon right up here. See, it's like going up and down on my top right. That's an important button. I heard it compared to like in Unity, you have the play button. Like in Unity, you build something and you fire it up with the play button. It's the same kind of thing. So when that little icon up there is going up and down, that means it's regenerating all of the models. Okay, and it looks like I think we can continue while it's chugging away here. Okay, so I am going to move this over just to make a little more space. How's the performance? Right out of the gate, by the way, I'm just using my mouse wheel to zoom. I think my laptop is kind of struggling because I think recording this and also trying to run the software puts a lot of strain on resource. But how's it going for you guys out there? Just doing a base, like using your mouse wheel to zooming in and out. Is it performing good? Okay. So you can see, I mean, it's kind of interesting just watching it. So as it continues to generate, you can see now before it was blank white and now all of the streets are there, right? Okay. Okay, so far so good. Does everybody have this? Okay. All right, let's explore then some basic, just how to navigate around. Okay, so you should have, up here you have some of your basic tools. Okay, so you get a basic zoom, but just by using your mouse wheel. Now in the slides, this is just a screenshot of different navigation tools. And I believe I put a link to this in, 3D Navigation Essentials. So in the slides, there's a screenshot of this, and there's also this page just for reference if you want to just play around. So just play around with it. You know, don't worry ever about breaking it, or it's just a demo that we can download and re-download it. So the frame tool kind of zooms the whole thing out. Now the pan and track, that, you know, along with a mouse wheel zoom, that's your classic, you know, kind of tool that you've probably seen in a lot of other software like ArcGIS Pro, Google Maps, Photoshop. So that's like a hand icon. Holding my left button down allows me just to kind of move in and out. Okay. Horizontally, or let's see. All right. Next up, we have dolly zoom. Dolly zoom. Zoom the camera towards or away from any point of interest. And let's see. Okay. And next up, we're going to try the tumble tool. This gets a little more interesting now. So this will allow you to tumble or rotate the camera around a point of interest, right? So when I click on this one, now I can start to turn it. So just like any of these kind of softwares, you start to use it all together. So you always can just zoom in. You know, get down there, then use a tool like tumble rotate to kind of set what you're looking at. Whoop. Use the pan tool to kind of move yourself along. And again, mine's a little choppy, but you guys are getting a smooth playback. It's moving smooth, right? Rotate. Whoop. And I think you can always go to frame all viewports. That's kind of like, I think it's kind of like in ArcGIS Pro, it's called zoom to full extent. That's kind of like maybe like as an escape button. So if you find yourself ever in a situation like, especially if you're new, you know, I'm still new to this. If you find yourself like, oh my God, what's going on here? Like I'm lost. You can click this button to kind of, okay, that's kind of like a way to kind of go back out. Okay. All right, and then we'll also look at the look around tool. Rotate the camera around its eye. So when I click on this one, it's kind of just rotating where the camera, based on where the camera is. And so I was trying things yesterday, like, and maybe you guys are better at this than I would be, but if I let's say I used a zoom, and I wanted to go to the top of this building, and then if I use the, so let's say I'm standing on the top of this building, and then I use look around. I found it kind of interesting to, if I can pull this off, like sort of the perspective I would get from the top of something to look into the city. So in the beginning of the semester, a great classic urban game idea is like a Spider-Man game, right? Or some superhero who does whatever in a city. So I thought that was kind of interesting if you wanted like perspective in your world here, okay? So any questions on that stuff? Again, those are just your basic, just looking around and moving in a scene, okay? Are these familiar? Are some of these controls familiar to you guys from other software? I think Unity does this kind of stuff, right? Where have you seen this stuff?
I mean, just in like any type of editing software.
Okay.
And yeah, like ArcGIS too.
Yep. Yep. Okay. All right. All right. So now just to mess around a little bit. So you can of course, just like we saw a little bit in ArcGIS Pro last week, we did selections. You can of course select things here. And so let's just look at, like, if I go here to the it looks like kind of like an old mouse pointer, but it's on the top left. It says select, right? If I take that tool and just click on something, like click on a building. Okay. You get a very similar kind of interface. Again, I think in Unity is it called the properties window? Is that a thing? That's a thing in Unity, right? When you click on an object in a Unity scene, it brings up the properties window. Right? Yes, no? All right. Well, yes, in Unity, there's a thing very similar. When you click on an object, so I use select tool, I clicked on just a building at random, and I get information stuff in inspector, right? Now this one just has a generic name, shape 110. Now take a look. This is going to come up in just a minute here. The rules file. What do you think the rules file is? Or the rule file? Yeah.
Is it like how that object behaves? Or should behave?
Kinda, yeah. Yeah, kind of like how it behaves. And it kind of goes back to what we talked about earlier. How about somebody over in this island? Somebody over there. I'm trying to get you guys to interact. What do you, just take a wild guess. What do you think a rule file is? Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's how it procedurally generates, right? So if you look at it, building standard, building shell, CGA. So if you click then on, it almost looks like a hyperlink. If I clicked on that, building CGA, there it is. I mean, here's an example of it. This is, for me where I'm at, a pretty advanced this is what they give you, but there's what the CGA, computer generated architecture, what it actually looks like. Okay. Now all we did so far was just select something. So I clicked on it, I selected it, I'm getting information about it, and I can modify it accordingly. Now, I believe with it selected, if I hold my left button down, I should be able to move it. Let's see. Try a different one. Let's see. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. So if I click this, so I selected it, then I click the move tool. Now we see like the old familiar kind of 3D arrow. And this is how, if you had to manually mess with it, I'm just messing around. But let's say I want to move the building there. Now I want to move it on that axis and so forth. Okay. So again, I click the select tool. The thing kind of, you see its different like kind of faces of it. Then I can use the move tool to move it around. And that's also a pretty standard 3D kind of thing. Then I can look at the destruction I've caused using my rotate tumble tool. Okay. All right. All right. Do you guys, if you follow along, did you get that to work? Just a basic select and move. Okay. Again, so it's just click this, select, click on something, and then you can use some tools here to move it, rotate it, so forth. And that's the inspector window. The rule that it uses to generate, moving it around, and so forth. Okay. All right. Let's look now at adding an asset to the scene. So to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in down on the street. Just any street. Okay. Now, at least in my experiences in the GIS world, when I've seen like people from the private sector who do like, in civil engineering, very, very common. You'll see it around campus. Like if you guys walk by the new Performing Arts Center, you probably walked by the shed. You'll often see like the 3D generated picture of the vision of what the thing's going to look like. This is exactly the kind of software you do that kind of thing. So let's say you got your co-op with a local civil engineering company, which, they use GIS very, very heavily, and you wanted to add something to the envisioned scene, and that's where assets come in. So what we're going to do is, just add a simple asset just to kind of go over that. So if I go back to my project folder and I go under assets, this example, this is just an example we're using, but we'll put an object, and let's see, we're going to go assets, 3D models from lowpolygon3d.com, low polygon 3D cyclists. And you have your choice. You can either add the bicycle male object or the bicycle female. We'll go for the female. And so I'm going to take that OBJ, the object file, I'm going to drag it right into the scene. And there you go. And you get like an object. Now, again, for those of you that have done game development, you're probably pretty familiar with this kind of thing, right? In game development world, I mean, that's a whole huge business. I know from my own experience, like the, yeah. Any of you ever gone here? The Unity, you guys familiar with this? The Unity Asset Store, right? So in the world of game development, there's all kinds of these assets that you can buy. I know in my own work, we bought like a really cool like water asset, but there's characters. I mean, there's a whole world of this. It's the same idea over in with this stuff. So, you know, here's a low polygon, low amount of, probably makes it easier to draw. But if in your scene, you know, you want to add a vision of like, we're creating a bicycle path in the urban environment. Here's the scale. Here's how big like a, you know, and you have all of the controls. Whoop. I think I grabbed the street by accident. So if I want to take the cyclist and move it around and, you know, so forth. Did you guys get that to work? Did the cyclist come in? Okay. So, you know, I didn't really look at all these other things. I wonder what else. Casual. What's this one? There's some dude with a bag. I don't know. But they're set to approximately the right scale. And now you kind of see how in this weird world of floating buildings, cyclists and people with bags could be part of it because they're all, you know, they're all assets. Oh, I should have, there's a bike lane in this one. I should have used the bike lane, but. All right. So what do you think so far? Does it seem interesting? I mean, maybe familiar. And again, this is just a really, you know, disclaimer. Like I probably should have said this, you know, I'm still learning a lot about this software, but at least I wanted to show it to you, some of the basic operations. And with that, let's switch to the other part of class. Yeah, so these were the slides, selecting, bringing the female bicyclist in. Let's switch now to talking more about this because this is really a core idea that, again, we talked about in the beginning of class. In this idea of CGA rules, CGA, computer generated architecture. And in this slide, here's just a picture of what it kind of looks like. Okay, this one's from a long time ago, but you'll see, you know, we haven't really formally addressed computer programming. And I've said the class does not have a programming prerequisite. But this is kind of what it looks like. I would encourage you, even if you don't have a background in programming or you've done a lot in, like, say, Python, you have the ability or build the ability to just look at it and kind of read it and get a sense of what's going on with it. Because in this case, if you just kind of look through it, you know, even if you don't fully understand it, a building reference, the textures, the way it looks, the roof, and so forth, you can get a sense of how this kind of, these rules will go about to generate an object or whatever it is you want to do, right? So with that, we're going to do a very gentle introduction to CGA. And let's point some links I have in back over here. We'll follow this kind of, but this is just as a reference, okay? But the basic idea is we're going to write a very simple rule and then have it generate and create. It'll be visually unspectacular. It's going to be a rectangle, but it'll be enough to show you the process if you've never seen it, okay? Because I think I want everybody to be able to access this. All right, so to do that, let's go ahead. We'll close up some stuff here. We're going to create we're going to create a new project. And so to do that, we will go File, New, and we're just going to do a CityEngine project, okay? And then I'll go Next. In my case, just to clean it up, I'm going to put mine in my C temp. Okay. I'm going to call it Simple City 1. Okay. And finish. Okay. Now you should see, do you see something like this in your navigator? You should have, it should show up as a new project. You guys have that? Did it show up? Okay. And then I've never actually looked behind the scenes what happens when you create a project. Whoa. Okay. Right. So there, just looking at this, so my C temp directory was empty. When I fired off that new project, it basically just, it's just all of the, assets, data, images. It's all the same folders you see over here in the project file. Okay. So the first thing we want to do then is we have to create a scene. As you saw, the scene is the main sort of place where all the objects and the visual stuff is going to happen. Just like in Unity, just like in 3D ArcGIS Pro. It's the same concept. So to do that, I want to go under my new project and let's move that out of the way. And I want to go to Scenes. I'm going to right click on it. Do New CityEngine Scene. Okay. So again, just to go over that, if I was here in my project, I'm going to right click, go there, not right click, click on the expand it, right click on Scenes and do New CityEngine Scene. Okay. I'm going to call my scene Simple Building. Okay, I am going to give it a coordinate system. And what I want to do with my coordinate system, I have it on a slide here. I'm going to make the coordinate system NAD State Plane New York West US feet. And we talked about coordinate systems before, and the sort of the identifier for that is 2262. Okay, so to go over that part, let's see. I wonder if actually I didn't 2262. Can I do it that way? Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna. Oh, it found it for me actually. Okay, 2262. That's the quick way to do it. Do a search, and so we're gonna go projected state plane feet. New York State Plane West feet. Okay. Did you guys find that okay? Does anybody know why I'm picking that particular coordinate system? Oh yeah, yeah. Kind of, yeah, it is where RIT is. Does anybody remember vertical coordinate systems from last week? What's a vertical? This is a horizontal coordinate system. What's a vertical coordinate system? Yeah. I mean, yeah, you can maybe look at it that way, right? So just think about 3D X, Y, and Z, right? So X and Y have have a coordinate system or a datum for referencing how things are on the XY plane, but you also need something for the Z axis, right? And actually, for class on Thursday, I want to really visit that topic because it's kind of important. Hence why I'm trying to get us kind of in the mindset of coordinate systems. And this is one, a very common one, which I don't know if you guys remember. Last week we used one. I don't remember. It's like NAV, but it was also in feet. So it was a vertical coordinate system, Z-axis, that used feet. And so we're going to do it for our little thing we're doing here. So we're going to pick that one. Okay, I'm going to hit OK, and then finish. And I don't need to worry about that. It's my old one. Okay. Okay, so and with that, so if everything went according to plan, we now have a basic grid with a city with nothing in it. Let's check our time. Did that work okay? Did you guys get that? Okay, great. All right, so let's do something with it. Okay, so a big foundational concept in CityEngine is the idea like of a lot. And the lot is where a building's going to go or whatever, some kind of structure, right? So if we go back to the slides, if you want to follow, we're now going to do this part. We're going to create a simple shape or a lot, okay? And to do that, I'm going to go here to the shape drawing tools. And I'm going to do polygonal shape creation, right? And I'll just click on that. And then when I go, now notice when I click on, so I went from here, shape drawing tools, to here, okay? Watch when my mouse now is over on the grid, I want to just click on a corner. And you can see sometimes they call this a rubber band. See how when I'm lined up on that grid, it's kind of tracking where I'm going. So I clicked once, click twice, and you can kind of see how it's starting to create a shape for me. And it's kind of trying to fill in, it kind of sees where I'm going with it. I'm gonna click there. And then to close it, I'm gonna double click on where I started. And I get something like that. And you can see already it says, new shape, one object. It automatically makes it selected. And you can tell it's selected because it's kind of like a grayish color with a blue outline. Okay, pretty straight. Did you guys get that to work okay? Again, it's just finding the buttons and understanding how the software works, right? All right. So with that, we will save our work. And we're going to move on now to this slide. We're going to now create a very simple rule file, okay? And all this is going to do is just, so what's going to do though, it's going to take the polygon that we just clicked, and this rule file is going to tell it to make its height 10, and it's going to tell it then to take, basically it's going to set a variable called height, which is equal to 10. Then it's going to tell the lot to use the extrude function to pull the thing up by whatever the value of that variable is, okay? And to do that, we're going to go to rules, right click, new, CGA rule file, okay? And I'm going to call, when this dialog comes up, I'm just going to call it simple building, and do finish. And then we get a little code editor that's going to come up and on the left. Did you guys get the little code editor come up? All right. Now for my spectacular interactive teaching, we're going to go over here and we're going to, I mean, you can also, a couple ways you can do it. You can drag it, Control C, but with my spectacular interactive teaching, we're going to click copy code, and the button is going to take that code and put it on the clipboard. And we're going to go over here and we're going to paste that in. And I believe that should work. Okay. So we'll save that. Okay. So again, it's a real straightforward thing. You have a variable, an attribute called height, where the value is equal to 10. And the rule is that the lot is going to get extruded to whatever the value was here. Okay. Again, I created this lecture. It's meant to be a really straightforward introduction to how this all works. And let's see. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So now what we want to do, if it's not already selected, like let's say this is what our thing looks like when it's not selected. Just go and click that button and select it. It'll bring up the inspector window. Okay. And now what we want to do is take that rule file and apply it to the selected shape. All right. And that's what we covered before. And yeah. So the way to do that, we selected the shape, we go to rule file, we want to assign, click the assign button. And it's already in because I saved it in my rules, it's right there. But of course it could be something else somewhere else. So I hit open. And so now we're telling it, take that rule and apply it to whatever's been selected. And this is sort of where the magic happens then. We'll save it. If you go then click this button, then we want to generate it, okay? So again, those of you that have done Unity or other software like that, there's like a play button, right? You're telling it to fire off the scene and do it. So I hit that button. And there it is. Again, it may not be visually, it's not like, but it's that's the basic idea of it all, right? That you have whatever code is in there was assigned to that object or objects, and now you get an extruded rectangle. Okay, you know, did you guys get that to work? Yeah. Hang on. So as a reminder, once the rule is applied, you click that button there. Generate model. It's also a shortcut key of Control G as in George. That's kind of like, again, like a play button in a kind of tool like that. All right. Yeah.
And just to be clear, this isn't beat technically because it's the model. It's the
I would believe. Yeah, I think so. Yep. Yep. Okay. So we made the rule, and here's the slide on that. So we had the generate models, apply the CGA arrow, generate the model. And I believe where's the... It had a preview of the rule. I don't know where the preview window went, but okay. So let's mess around with it a little bit. So if we want to extend it, so this is now, let's look at some other code. So again, just as a very basic introduction, we just told it to take that shape, extrude it by the value that we had in the thing. Now, the way we've set it up, I believe that if you now go, you can see that the height, the attribute of the object is 10. if I go over here in the property inspector where it says 10, let's say I'll make it 50 and then regenerate. Oh, it looks like I didn't set it up to do it that way. Oh no, there it is. Yeah. Okay, see how I overrode it? So I went in the property window and I told it to make it 50 or whatever value you want there. It'll kind of automatically generate. So that's another thing too, is once the rule has been set, you can have its attributes you can change them in the property window if that's what you want to do. Okay, so let's dive a little deeper into this CGA stuff. So in this case, what I want to do, I'll have it where it'll extrude it, but then it'll make the sides of the it's supposed to add a roof and then make the sides of the building red. Okay. So to do that, I gave you the code. Now I didn't put a button in to copy it, but so if you want to just grab all that and just do a Control C. And I'm just going to go back over here, delete all of that, and just paste it in there. Okay. Now, copying it from my thing doesn't make it clean. If you want to clean it up, you don't have to, but for those of you that have done procedural generation, what do you think's going on here now with this code? Anybody want to walk it? I mean, it kind of has comments in there, but does the syntax look familiar to other procedural? I haven't worked with other code that does this. Anybody ever look familiar to anybody? No? Okay. So again, we have attributes, right? We saw those. Those are the things, right? The height, other things, and the roof height. So again, we're going to tell it to extrude it to whatever value is in the attribute. And then you have this thing called comp F, which is where you can start to tell it how to create different parts of the building. So, and what rules to apply. So the top of the object will use the roof rule. So we're saying for the roof, offset that by a roof height, and the side will get the color rule, okay? And you can really, and I'll give you a slide to kind of look at more of the details of this. So I'm going to save this. I'm going to keep this selected. Then I'm going to go back and regenerate it. So now when I hit regenerate, the polygon will now use these new rules to change its appearance. Boom, and there it is, right? So you can see how it made the sides of it red, and it made a roof that's supposed to be offset by a certain distance that did not change red. Okay, all of that happened by just running that code, that script. All right. Did you guys get that to work? Did it turn red? That's what the effect was. All right. And you guys just, more importantly, you're getting a sense of the process here. That's the key thing to come away with, right? I know this doesn't look visually spectacular, like Spider-Man's gonna fight aliens in this world, of red boxes, but the key idea is to get you excited about this, because if you go from here, this is where you can start to get into a lot of, you could really go down another rabbit hole universe of learning about all this stuff. That's way beyond, what I know about. But we use this one, like, for example, the comp, I put a link to it. Right. So we ran this. So from the CGA, the shape operations, which are used to modify the appearance, we told it comp F, the component was the faces, and then we put different operators in there, you know, front, back, left, top, and then we did stuff with that, okay? So if we go back to our example, we use comp F, which is used to kind of define the different parts of an object. And so we told for the faces, comp F, and then we told it for the top to use the roof rule, which was an offset. And then we told it for the side to use the side rule, which in this case was applying a color. Okay. Right. So front and top, and then applying the rules to it and so forth. Allows to divide a shape into its topological components. Okay. Yeah, that's just an example, and of course there's clearly way more to it than that. But if you look in things like the default project under the does Esri Live have rules? Yeah, the Esri library has all kinds of rules that you can look at. What's this one? Building from OpenStreetMap. Interesting. So it looks like this one's going to take an OpenStreetMap file and generate buildings based on whatever's coming in from OpenStreetMap. Clearly, this is a lot more involved than our red rectangle, but and then as one concluding remark, where I'm going with all of this coming up, because I didn't get to it, but there are ways that you can take a CityEngine. There's a couple ways I want to look into. Go back to the big screen. Where you can take the CityEngine file, like the thing. I mean, I have to check if this, but there was what's called the OBJ files. You can export it out of CityEngine into an OBJ file and then bring it into Unity. Okay. There's also the idea of the Omniverse, which is supposed to create a smoother connection between things. But this is the kind of thing where I'm going with. I want you guys to learn how to create 3D urban environments and bring it into Unity, and then we can finally make it into like a game simulation, digital twin, whatever we want to call it at this. So that's where this is going. So we wanted to get more of a handle on that side of it. Okay. All right. So are there anything else you want me to have for the screen recording for archive? Okay. Hi, this is Brian Tomaszewski. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, and share this video. Also, please consider subscribing to this channel and clicking the notification icon to stay up to date on new videos from this channel. Thanks for watching.